Hello, everybody. Um, in this relatively short video, I'm going to talk about the concern that I had regarding developing Metahuman for other 3D packages, and I asked the question from Epic Games, and they replied, and this is the reply. And they said, you are free to use metahumans in this way as long as they are rendered in Unreal Engine. So many people were confused about that. And I had a discussion with other people that it is actually allowed. And they told me that it's not. And even I had a small conversation with uh, Facebook Facebook group, Facebook or Avatari uh, group, which the team that they are developing the Facebook motion capture, which is very actually probably the regarding the price, it is the best option right now. And they told me that it is not allowed, and I was that that was the reason that I sent email to Epic Games. So the idea is, if Facebook release a plugin for Blender version of Metahuman, we can use Blender for its capability to support plugin, because the other the next step would be MyLT, and I'm going to convert the MetaHuman to MyLT. And I will the good thing about MyLT is that I can convert everything. I can convert body, I can convert face, I can convert um, tongue and eyelashes and everything, every controller as is, and even the material, which is dynamic materials. And it means that by changing the face expression, the material also changes, and you can see different moments. I'm going to convert these things in my LT, and also the Maya LT version works in Maya too. And there is another thing about this version, which is it's going to be faster than regular MetaHuman, because MetaHuman is basically driven by Python, and Python is not uh, kind of not fast. And also, uh, there are a lot of other things in the original MetaHuman, which makes it kind of heavy, big, and slow. So this version would be quite fast, and it's exactly the same, but it works in MyLT and it works in Maya too. So why MyLT? Because MyLT is very cheap. It's just about a few, like I think it's $30 per month, and everybody can access it. And why Maya or MyLT? Because to be honest, Maya is the best for animation. If you want to make animation, you have to use Maya. I haven't used other applications. I have used 3ds Max, I have used Cinema 4D, and recently, of course, Blender. And really, they are not comparable to Maya, to regarding the tool that Maya has. And even for rigging, it's like just uh, um, there is no question about it. Maya is the best. If you want to do animation, you should go with Maya. And of course, the other applications are good for different things. For example, 3ds Max is for um, uh, architectural visualization. Sorry, my pronunciation is not very good. And for example, if you want to do motion graphics, you have to use obviously Cinema 4D, and if you want to use visual effects, you want to use Houdini. And by the way, I have never used Houdini as for testing for characters, but I guess it should be quite powerful. So some of you commented me that the reason that this is slow is that you are using a script and other things. Actually, by the way, I forgot to mention the script is updated, and some of these controller were in the previous one were not constrained to 0 and 1. Now it is working well. And you said because you are using a script, so obviously I have to use a script, because otherwise how can you have this effect? Because if you take a look at this script, it's very simple, by the way, it's not complicated, but these are controllers, and some of the controllers, their values are multiplied to each other. This is a must, and this should be like that, otherwise it won't work. And by the way, it has like about more than 600 blend shapes. It can't work otherwise. All right, we have to this amount of this is why Metahuman is great, because it has many blend shape for different expression, and even corrective blend shape for any combination of expression. So these corrective blend shape should trigger by the blend shapes. So you need a script to do that, and you have to clamp some values, and you have some if statements and other stuff. And so you have to have a script. There is no other way. You can't do it by constraints or building built-in stuff in Blender. It's not possible. It's not possible to make an if statement with constraints, right? And if you stop the script, which is Control Z, I don't know how to solve this problem, because every time I press Control Z, which is very common, and you need to do it, the script is stopping. Now I'm stopping the script, and if you take a look at the blend shape of this, nothing is running right now. It is still slow. See, it is as slow as when the blend shape was working. There is no difference. Right now, there is no script. It is still slow. There is nothing else, just this blend shape. And you asking me to remove this blend shape when then how the face is supposed to work? See, it is very slow. It is not the speed that you want. And if I add body to this version, it makes it even slower, because the body has many joints, and the joints are driven by other joints, and probably it will be super slow and unusable. And actually I used another character for Metahuman that had body and face combined together. It was one mesh with blend shape, which is a common practice. And you have your blend shape for the face, and you have your body. You have the body too. So this is the traditional way of doing that. And in Maya actually doesn't care if you have millions of polygons and you moving one vertex with blend shape. Only that vertex is calculated, not the rest. But for Blender, the bigger the denser the polygon goes, the slow Blender gets slower. It was so slow that actually I discarded, and I decided to use the sample, because it was unusable. By the way, I said probably it's going to be a short video, but it's not going to be short. I'm talking too much. Anyway, um, so the problem is that that blender is slow. It is slow to the point that is unusable. But we can still use it for the plugin, for the sake of plugins. And if you want to, if you want to use the Blender version, you want to use the plugin for motion capture, you have to use the Maya version too. So they are supposed to work together. You have to use the Maya version, which is Maya LT version, which is not super expensive, and you have to use in with Blender version. But Blender version is only supposed to used for plugin, nothing else. So there is no reason to develop the body for it. And as long as you are using the Metahuman inside Unreal, it doesn't matter what you do with it. If you want to manipulate it, if you want to convert it to other application, it doesn't matter. It's Blender, Houdini, Maya, 3ds Max, which I'm going to do that. By the way, 3ds Max has this problem too. It's slow. So this is about Blender, and I'm going to probably add some other functionality for Blender for the sake of plugin use, and the rest, if you want to actually refine the animation or send or actually make the animation. Oh, by the way, something that I need to mention, Blender is supposedly free software. So yeah, it is a free software, but for the most basic things you have to buy add-on. For example, to have a proper rig that works with motion capture, you have to buy a relatively expensive add-on, and God knows how buggy is that the add-on is going to be, because obviously add-on is buggy. There's somebody has made it, and it's not because when one person makes something, it is probably more buggy than like if it is a big company making something. Anyway, whatever. For the most basic things, you have to buy add-on. This is for motion capture. You have to buy add-on. It is called, I think, Pro Rig or something like that. And if you're working with motion capture, you need to have animation layer. And if in order to have animation layer, you have to buy another add-on. I mean, I can imagine if you want to do anything with Blender, you have to buy add-on. So technically, it is not free. And I'm sorry I hope that it's not offensive to anyone, but because many people telling me, oh, Blender is such a great application, it is free and it's going to be replaced with other applications. And so it is free, it's cool. Thank you, Blender, for giving everybody opportunity to have to do some basic stuff. But I don't think that it's going to be replaced with Maya or other applications, because for this reason, because first of all, it's kind of without it's kind of and it doesn't have many feature to start with, and if you want to have the feature, you have to buy the add-ons, and add-on or plugin is a problem because there is no much support, there is no much responsibility about it, and they are probably buggy, and also you are paying, so it's not free anyway. So this is the my opinion about Blender, and I really give a try for all the people who saying why not Blender, and Blender is such a great application. It is not. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it's not a great application, and I gave it a try. It's not easy to write 4,000 line of code, and I did. So, and I learned the basic and everything, and it disappointed me right now. But if any of you can help me to tell me how can I run this code with Blender, even it's slow, and how to solve the Control Z problem, I would appreciate it. So the next thing, what I'm going to do for the next video, as I said, I'm going to cover DAS characters. And actually, I had a DAS character that I converted to Metahuman, but I decided to not show it. Instead, I'm going to convert Victorian 9, which is DAS 9. I'm sorry, DAS 9. Actually, Genesis 9 for DAS Studio, and quite exciting. I want to convert the Victorian 9 without changing the topology, and you will see how it works. And also, I'm going to, this is a project. I have this project and I have permission to show it. And I'm going to convert this guy to a metahuman. It's a monkey, and it's quite exciting, isn't it? Because it's a monkey, it's not even human. So I will show you the results. And what else? Oh, and something else. Actually, Unreal asking you to use Metahuman inside Unreal, and I don't see any reason to not to. Because actually I was not into Unreal until I saw the path tracing capability, and also when the Metahuman came, I was really excited about it, and I knew that it's going to be a great thing because I was one of the first people to try it, and I'm really surprised on how high quality is this thing. Because the thing is, with Metahuman, actually there's a system that you can make different people and still keeping the rig. It is a big deal, guys. It is a big deal. It's a system that you can make different faces and keeping the amazing rig. It's a big deal. It's kind of impossible. From my knowledge, it would kind of super complicated and impossible, because you have to consider many things. First of all, you have to have a basically joint based face, so you can change the joints, you can reposition the joints, and you have to have a system to tell the joints how long they should move, how or they should rotate. And on top of it, you have the corrective blend shapes, and according to the changes, the corrective blend shapes are going to change. It is possible. I would imagine that it is possible, but it would be very difficult to implement such a system. And they did. They made it, and it was incredible. It is incredible, and I still say, if you want to make a humanoid character, there is no reason to not use Metahuman. And why using Unreal? Let me tell you something. Did you know that there is a job in studios that they put somebody, and his job is to sit there when nobody is in the studio and sit there and look at the frames when they are rendering and make sure that everything is right. Isn't that funny? But this job actually exists and they pay the guy to do that. And you should ask a couple of questions why they do that. First of all, don't they have some renderman that are expert on rendering and they know what they are doing, that they need somebody to check the frame? The second question, can't they render it again because they have a render farm? And the third question is, actually, there is no third question. I forgot what's the third question. Anyway, regarding these two questions, actually, the first question, to answer the first question, I should say, even though you are expert, you are the best guy, the best render man in the world, you still make mistake, because when you are rendering, it always happening. Oh, there's third question, I remember. The third question would be, isn't that a tool or as something that show them a preview of what they are doing, what they are going to render, and before committing rendering the final state for production? There are tools, and the renderman thing, the first question, even you are the best renderman, you still make mistake and you don't know until you actually do it. I've been working in a studio and I was kind of renderman there and I made horrible mistakes. And even without not being in the studio, even for my personal works, I always ended up redoing it or some fixes, because when it comes to rendering, you can't see the final result. You can't imagine it. Even though you have preview, the preview tool kind of helpful, like RT tools. They are kind of helpful, but they are not actually. You can still make mistake. Some geometry are bad, something is missing, lighting is bad, you have to redo it, and it is horrible because you have to render it all over again. And the question that, can they render it again? Of course they can, but of course they have to pay more money for the render farm. But the problem is not money, but it's time. Because for the big studios that they are producing animation, every day that is delayed, meaning a lot of money that need to be paid, and it is dangerous for them. So it is better to have somebody to watch the frames. And the third question, that is there a tool? Yes, there is a tool to preview. Like every render engine has a tool, RT mode of them, but it's not as effective and as useful as it sounds. But Unreal actually provide us kind of real time, without using path tracing. You have a real time preview of what you are doing, and it's awesome because you can see it immediately. And after rendering, because when you are using path tracing, it's not as slow, it's fast because it's using GPU, and you can redo it. And there is no render farm cost and this kind of stuff, and it's all free. And path tracing is actually offline rendering. It's like V-Ray, it's like Redshift or other render engines. So it's quite exciting and very useful. Why not using Unreal? Why not using your animation inside Unreal? If you want to make cinematic, use Unreal. Use path tracing for the best quality. And even without path tracing, this it is still very good. It is maybe not best quality, not cinematic quality, but this is still very, very acceptable. And also I need to tell you something about rendering. I was into Redshift because it is a GPU based rendering, and from I don't know exactly the time, but I think from version 1 I was using Redshift, and it was quite good, and it was fast, but it had its own problem because it was basically on GPU, and GPU rendering has some problems. I don't want to go into it, but the point is, right now, with the hardware advance, GPU rendering is actually a thing. GPU rendering can be replaced by CPU rendering, and that's why Unreal is so valuable. You can use GPU because right now you have a lot of memory for your GPU and you won't be short. And the GPU is strong, super strong regarding a few years ago that just GPU rendering were introduced in the CG field. And right now it is a thing. And also, one of the most important breakthrough in this field was AI. Now, AI noise reduction actually solve a big problem with the rendering, because if you are using a render engine, the biggest problem you have is noise, and render engines trying to use different tricks to reduce the noise, and most of the time these tricks are not straightforward, and you have to do many things to make it right, to have a proper render. You have to be expert in that render engine. You know what to do, what setting, and how to render different scenarios. And by AI and noise reduction, actually it's a game changer, because anybody can render things. You can be an expert render man by just using noise reduction. And now GPU rendering is a thing, and you can use GPU with with AI noise reduction, and it's just a new actually a new era. I mean, it's going to be revolutionary. I mean, rendering is not really, it's going to change the game, certainly. So, and Unreal already give it for free. Why not using Unreal? That's my point. And in this video, actually, I talked a lot, and in the beginning, I said I'm not going to talk a lot, but different matters, different things came up, and I talked about them. So please stay tuned. I will develop my ILT version, and probably after that, Houdini and other packages, 3D packages. And please tell me which package would you like to use, and give me an idea, whatever. How can we improve the Metahuman, or maybe implementing something on it, extra things, or whatever. And yeah, that's about it. And let's see the monkey. I'm very excited about the monkey. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.